back in the day, it wasn't as common for women to be firefighter or paramedics. And I didn't look up to any women who had families and kids at all. So I couldn't ask anybody. But I think that's also a really great resource to ask people who already walked the road before you for help.
Welcome to the Shiftwork Athlete Podcast. We connect with shift workers conquering life challenges and chasing big fitness goals. The goal of this podcast is to inspire and motivate our shiftwork community to stay fit and stay healthy with such a unique lifestyle. All right, what's going on, Shiftwork Athletes? My name is Spencer Bell, Shiftwork Athlete. Thank you so much for returning back to my podcast. Today I have Presley Pritchard. Thank you so much for joining me today. Presley Pritchard, she is a medic and a social media influencer and an online fitness coach, empowering women, building their confidence and empowering them to be stronger, stay healthy, and really take charge of their lifestyle and just building those lifestyle habits that are really going to allow them to own the day, own their life, and be a better version of themselves. So thank you, Presley, for joining me. I really do appreciate it. We connected over Instagram. And like I said, I am so grateful for you taking time out of your day to sit down and share with me what it's like being a medic and then also working shifts and having a family and then also coaching people on top of that. So I really would love to get into that as well. So if you could please introduce yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I'm Presley. I've been a medic now for 8.5 years, and then I was a firefighter for 6 years as well. I've got 2 daughters. They are 6 and 8, and right now I am living in Montana. And just like you said, I'm doing the shift work. I'm coaching, online coaching, doing the whole Instagram thing, being a mom, all of that.
Yeah, that is a lot going on. And you know what? It just goes to show you that, you may work shifts, you may have a very unique style when it comes down to your sleep and, your overall energy level, but you're very driven. Mm-hmm. And I would love to hear more about what drives that. But before we do get into what drives you, Presley, what made you or what inspired you to become a medic or a firefighter?
It kind of runs in my family. So that's where my interest came from. My dad was a firefighter in New York for a long time. My uncle worked FDNY. My other uncle worked NYPD. I have a cousin who's NYPD. Like my family was all like Air Force, Marines. So pretty much my family is like public service family. So definitely when I was hanging out with my dad at the fire stations, growing up, I thought it was pretty cool. And then as I became a teenager, I started an Explorer program, and that's when I really got to do it myself. So I really actually fell in love with it that way.
Presley, that's amazing. So thank you and your whole entire family for their service. That is a lot of inspiration there. Like that is really cool getting to experience that and go to the fire hall with your pops there. And that is really cool. So thank you so much for sharing that with me. You said adventure. What is this adventure?
Oh, it was an Explorer program.
Oh, Explorer program. Sorry, what is that? I've never heard of that.
So Explorer programs are pretty popular, I think, now, but back when I was a kid, obviously they weren't. But it's more so like I guess it's a program for younger kids, almost like Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, that kind of thing. But it's a program for kids who are interested in law enforcement or fire or things like that, where they can actually kind of intern and be ride-alongs and actually learn what the job is like so that they can know if they want to do that or not and if they want to go to college for it.
Awesome. So you did that. How long did that last for exactly?
So I actually started one because I began an Explorer program back when I lived in Florida for a year for law enforcement because I originally wanted to do that, I thought. Okay. And then we moved to Montana. I moved here with my mom and my sisters when I was 16. And I really, really liked the law enforcement Explorer program. And I went here and they did not have one because it's Montana. It's a small town. And I went to the fire department, which was right upstairs. I'm like, oh, that's probably like pretty similar. They work together. So I was like, well, let me see if they have one. And they didn't. But the chief was like, oh, yeah, I'm interested in making one if you want to do that. So we kind of just built one. Just when I was 16, and it was really just only me. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's really exciting that you kind of already got your foot in the door. The chief was like, hey, if you're willing to take on this responsibility, it's going to build us something more. What it clearly has. So that is really cool. Okay. So once the Explorer program got established and you had your foot in the door, what are the next steps? Did you have to go to school, or was it kind of like give us your resume, throw in this jacket and get in the truck?
I mean, I think you had to be 18 to do a lot of the
Okay.
stuff. I
Hmm.
know I actually was really interested in it, got direction from them. There's a running start program I think most schools have where when you're in 11th grade, you can do a college classes at night, like after school, and you can sign up for college classes and get college credit, and your school pays for
Okay.
it and all of that. So I ended up doing the EMT class in my junior year, and then I did anatomy and physiology my senior year of high school, like at the college. So I got done with
Okay.
all my prereqs really early. And in the meantime, I was volunteering at the fire department, doing the whole Explorer thing. I actually went through their fire academy, but I couldn't get, certified or anything because I wasn't 18. So I
Okay.
went through it and I learned everything, but it made it easier for me when I did turn 18 to finally be able to take the tests. And then I ended up getting on a different department and volunteering there. And that kind of got my foot in the door. And it was like you volunteer till you work your way up type of thing.
Wow, that is awesome. For us in Canada, there's a lot of holes you got to jump through
Yeah.
to just like even be in front of the board for them to even give you in-person interview. And I was actually pursuing trying to become a firefighter myself.
Yeah.
It's on the back burner right now just because of the COVID and testing and stuff like that. But wow, like that is really exciting. We do
It's
also
so
have
different. Yeah, it's so
so
different than
so
in
different.
Montana. Yeah.
Yeah, like it almost makes sense the way that you were able to go through the steps to become a firefighter. Like instead of just killing everybody with a bunch of like book work and studying and all
Mhm.
these tests, it's like, okay, let's get their foot in the door. Let's see
Mhm.
how they act, how they work in a team, and go from there. Like I did a year as well of school, and it gave me my firefighter level 1, my 2, my hazmat, and a few
Mhm.
other things. But it still like I still had to go and do more testing to,
Yeah.
just have them look at me. You know what I mean? And like that's great how in school they give those opportunities to kids that are 17, almost
Mhm.
18, soon to be qualified to just kind of see if they like it or not, and build their resume from there, right? So that's amazing that you recognize that at a younger age, and save yourself a headache. I guess it's different once you get older too, right? You lose those opportunities
Yeah, for
as
sure.
you get older. So that's really cool. So before you got into becoming a firefighter and then medic, did you have any understanding of how the shifts were going to work? Like I know you must have saw it through your family, but did you know how it was going to take a toll on you by any chance?
No, I think it was more just so I used to like do sleepovers at the fire department when I was a teenager. So it was more just seeing that and then asking around with the guys and stuff. But I actually used to stay there and I used to stay an entire, 12, 24-hour shift just
Oh,
to get
nice.
a taste of it. Yeah. But obviously I was a kid. I lived with my parents still. I didn't have my kids of my own, or my mom packed me my lunches. So it wasn't really like my own, I didn't know how
Hmm.
it was going to be being an adult.
Yeah, no doubt. That's great that your parents were supporting you, and that you're able to stay there. Like, I just think of it now. If I were to ask, "Hey, can I hang out?" They'd be like,
Hmm.
"No, sorry, you can't. Like, you're not
Yeah.
qualified." So it's awesome that like I said, you're able already to get in there. Okay, so you got the job, and so they are. Do you work 7 times a month? Is that how it works
So
for you? Because 24-hour shifts.
currently I'm PRN. I dropped down to PRN after the COVID. But before that, I was doing um, technically 36 hours a week and then IFTs. So it was the way that our department structured it where I was at for the majority of, my time was you get your certain specific shifts every single week, but then you could pick up more if you wanted to, as long as you weren't overtime and all of that. But mine were typically, so you could either do 12s, 24s, or you could do a 36.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
36.
So they had a lot of
Wow.
trouble filling the shifts. So the 36, I know most places will not allow you to do that. The place I currently work as a PRN medic is a hospital, and they won't let you do a 36 because there's no way. It's just too busy. So,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
with fire departments, there's not a lot of structural fire in Montana, so a 36 is absolutely fine. And then obviously with EMS, it's a little bit different. But
Okay. Okay. Yeah, like 36 hours. That's a long time to be away from home. But I mean,
yeah.
your unit becomes your second family, right? So it's
Hmm.
not that big of a deal. And I'm sure you figure out how to, have your food and sleep and all that stuff as well. And
Hmm.
like you said, it's not a lot of structured fires, right? So I'm assuming it's more forest.
Hmm.
Um, And yeah, so your calls probably aren't as busy during like a winter time and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, okay, that's really cool. So I see that you're big into fitness. When it came down to your sleep and stuff, did you find that you had any issues with like your energy and just trying to find consistency with going back and forth from work and training?
I think it just took a while, but our fire department had a gym there, so I would just work out when I was on shift. I mean, I would get interrupted a lot, whether, it was because we were EMS and fire, so we had to go on every EMS call as well. So it was pretty busy with, medical calls. But having the gym in a department is so helpful because you get to work out. It's not like you're going your whole shift without it, and then you still get to, be active. But when I would get home, depending on how the shift went, if I didn't sleep at night, I would definitely, prioritize sleep first, and then I would go to the gym. So it was really just, I never had a set schedule. It was really just listening to my body.
Okay, awesome. Were there some trial and errors that you had to go through before you kind of found that concrete routine?
Oh yeah, for sure. I would get off like a really busy shift and I'd be like, I have to go to the gym. I can't skip legs today. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, if I'm tired though, and also just learning more about, nutrition and bodybuilding, it's like if you're tired and you're not prioritizing sleep, sleep is when your muscles actually recover and are built. So if you're not sleeping, there's no point in going to the gym.
Right.
So it was definitely
100%.
a lot of trial and error on figuring out what my body needed. And then, yeah.
Awesome. Were there any tools that you used along the way to kind of guide you, or like, how did you know that, okay, working a 24-hour shift and working out wasn't good for me? What were those indicators?
More just, I was just tired. When I get really, really tired and I'm like run down, I get sick. When I was working full time, I would get sick all the time. I constantly had colds. I constantly was like, felt run down. I got strep throat so many times. I can't even tell you. Like I would get sick all the time and everyone would be like, are you sick again? But it wouldn't be anything that would send me home from work. It was just like a constant like cold or like a cough or something. And I would just have bags under my eyes. Like I knew that I needed sleep because I'd be grumpy. I'd have like the brain fog, and caffeine really doesn't do anything. It makes you worse at that point. So, yeah, that was a lot of it was just, can I think clearly or am I moody? So,
right. Yeah. And, people don't really realize that their mood is also a big signal of you being fatigued or worn out. And they're like, oh, you know what? Like you said, coffee doesn't really help. But what do they do? Oh, I'm just going to drink more coffee. It's going to make me feel like myself again, when it really is, it's having that negative effect.
Yeah.
Well, Presley, it's great that you were able to bring that self-body awareness. And I think a lot of shift workers need to start to build that and understand like, hey, sleep is priority number one. And that's something that I preach a lot about to my friends and my coworkers. And like, even from my own training, like I said, my girlfriend, she's also trying to become a paramedic. So she learns a lot from me, and I've had to do a lot of trial and error myself. And it's not fun. Like when you're half in the bag and, you're like, yeah, I don't want to miss leg day, or I don't want to miss a training session. Like it puts a damper on you psychologically because you think you're letting yourself down, but no, you're letting yourself down if you sacrifice that sleep. Right. And it makes it so much harder for you to recover. It makes it so much harder for you to even put forth 100% effort into that training session that you are so excited to do. Right. So that's great. So, all right. With your training and nutrition, did you find that changed a lot for you as well?
My training changed because it's not like, how people have a set plan where they're like Monday's leg day, Tuesday's shoulder day. Okay, well that might not happen if I'm, if I am tired or depending on how my shift goes or whatever. So I would switch around my training pretty often. As far as nutrition goes, I eat the same shit that I eat when I'm home. So, but obviously it changes because you bring all your food with you, but there are times when I've literally been about to eat breakfast and we get a call and then we'll be out and we'll get another call and another call. And at that point, it's been like 3 hours and I haven't had anything to eat and it's already time for lunch. And I'm like stressed out because I'm not going to hit my nutrition goals for the day and I haven't had anything to eat. So I haven't even like started on my water intake. So it really just depended on the day or whatnot. But with nutrition, really, it's just kind of like you can't go in with a plan. Like you have a plan and it's never going to It's never going to stick.
Yeah. But the biggest thing is that you have a plan, right?
Exactly.
Do you do the whole like meal prepping bag and all your Tupperwares and stuff like that?
I always bring a huge ass bag with me to shifts.
That's what's up.
I would leave it in the fridge at work. Like when I got there, I'd put all my stuff in the fridge, and then like all the other stuff I'd put, on the counter on the shelf. And then, but it's so easy when you're out and you don't prepare your food and everybody else is like, oh, let's just swing by the McDonald's drive-thru on the way back. And you're like, seriously? But if I didn't have food waiting for me, I would totally have, caved.
Awesome. So it's great that, just sharing that you've prepared your food that's going to allow you to stay disciplined for your own specific goals and not cave into the temptations that are presented to you. So you could buy the McDonald's or any sort of fast food because it's so easy. Also, when you're just ravishing, you've just been working, running around, and then being a firefighter, you're wearing all the heavy gear and stuff like that too, right? So as soon as you sit in that back in the fire truck or back in the paramedic vehicle, you're just like, geez, I am starving, right? So it's great that you are able to find that discipline to commit to your goals, especially when it comes down to your food. So could you share with us what a normal shift of food prepped would look like?
Yeah, so it depends on what my goal is at the time. Usually in the winter, I'm trying to bulk, so I'm trying to like gain size. And usually in the summers, I'm just trying to cut. Just obviously like physique reasons when you're out and about in a swimsuit or, it's shorts and a, crop top, you don't want to be fat. So It depends on the goal, but either way, the only difference is my calorie difference. But typically when we start our shifts at the place I'm at now starts at 7. And that's what my other, shifts started at as well. I will bring breakfast with me. I am not an early morning eater. Like I will wake up and I don't want to eat till 10 or 11. So I usually bring breakfast with me. And one of the things that I found that was really helpful was a meal prep company. So I go through Flex Pro Meals and I just get a bunch of meals from them and I keep them in my freezer. And then before a shift, I'll pop them out and like throw them in my bag to go. But you can just put them in the fridge. They've got breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then even snacks. So I'll bring those for like my actual meals. Yeah, it's super convenient. I've tried the whole bringing all different ingredients with me to work and trying to cook it there because we had a stove and all that. And that never works. So then I'm just starving and I'm just going to grab something quick. But convenient meals, so breakfast, I would have one of those little Flex Pro meals, or I would bring, if I didn't have one of those, I'd bring some, like I said, eggs and stuff to cook when I was there. If not, I'll just do overnight oats. Like that was so quick for me, was overnight oats and like hard-boiled eggs or some type of protein because you don't have to worry about preparing it and then getting a call in the middle of it. And then I bring a lot of snacks. Like I snack in between my meals. So I'll, one of the things I started doing was bringing a backpack with me. So anytime we get a call, I take my backpack with me and it's got a huge Hydro Flask in it with a water bottle and it's got tons of snacks like, jerky, protein bars. I don't even care what it is. I bring it. I bring a snacks with me because sometimes you're out and you never come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, prevents me from buying stuff and going through drive-thrus with everyone else. But they'll usually have lunch and sometimes it's just easier to pack like a wrap or to make something, I always have like protein, carbs, and veggies with every meal. Do that, then I have more snacks and then it's dinner time. And for dinner, I'll usually just bring like pasta or leftovers from the night before or something like that. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So the fact that you've shared protein is a big one. Obviously for bodybuilding, you need that, right? To build the muscle. But protein is just so important in general. Your body's going through so much stress. The protein's just going to help repair and also it's going to keep you full. And that's awesome. And it's great that you're able to bring food with you.
Yeah.
And have that readily available. So then that way, like you said, you don't cave into those temptations, right? And for your specific goals. And another thing there, Presley, that I love is the convenience. I know for myself, like I prep a lot of my food. I don't really have to worry about, getting a call. Like I'm a crane operator right now. So I prep all my stuff, bring it to work. I have probably the biggest bag more than everybody because
same.
I just love eating and I love snacking, especially when I'm sitting on my butt for, 10 to 12 hours. But yeah, the best thing is just having food that's convenient. So before you got into having pre-cooked meals that you could bring with you, you said you were prepping your food before, right? right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was obviously time consuming, and you just had enough one day, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go with the pre-prep foods.
I just got sick of it. I started wanting fresh meals, honestly. Like, if you've ever had meal prepped chicken, you know the struggle. So
Yes,
it's so
yes,
gross.
very
Like,
much.
at some
Yeah,
point in the beginning of your, fitness journey, you're like, woo, meal prepped meals. And you really don't care about that kind of stuff. But once I've been training now for like 6 years, and I am not eating chicken I cooked on a Sunday night on a Thursday, like I'm not doing that. And
yeah.
so now I'm all about the convenience and quickness, and I want my stuff to be fresh. So when I'm at home on my days off, I can cook. Like, I can make food ready, fresh, like air fry something real quick, but I'm not eating that crap. Like, I'm not heating up some rubbery chicken 2 days later.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
went with the pre-prepped meals just for shifts, and that way it wasn't. If I did that every single day and I had those like 3 times a day, that would be so expensive. Like, obviously, it doesn't
So,
make any sense.
mhm,
But having them
mhm.
on hand and using them only for my shifts is like genius. So,
Yeah, that's a great tip there. Also, like,
mhm.
anybody that is listening to this, like, if nutrition is a hard thing for you to find control over, look into getting pre-cooked
Mhm.
convenient meals and just do it on the days that you're working. Like,
Yeah.
that is such good advice. Okay, let's get into the fitness stuff, Presley. So you said you got into, was it bodybuilding 6 years ago, or were
Mhm.
you kind of working out, and then bodybuilding just kind of was something that you're interested in investing your time into?
Well, I've always been an athlete, so I played soccer growing up at a
Okay.
soccer academy in New York. I played like all 4 seasons. I was pretty big in soccer all through high school. I played after high school. And then I used to run a lot, obviously, because being a soccer player, running was not that hard for me back when I was, 120 pounds soaking wet. But yeah, I used to run all the time. And then I had my first daughter when I was 20, and I did a bunch of like, 10Ks, all that stuff with her in the jogging stroller.
Cool.
Super into running, but I was that girl who would get to the gym and I'd immediately go to the cardio equipment because I would run every single day. Like,
Yeah.
running was my thing.
Mhm.
And then I got pregnant with my second daughter, and I was kind of on bed rest for a little while. And then after I had her, I was really bored though, like when I was on bed rest. So I'll just scroll on Instagram, and that's when I think this was 2014 when she was born. So that's when it started becoming pretty popular for the whole like Instagram fitness influencer type stuff.
Mhm.
And I
Yep.
remember seeing a couple like OG fitness influencers, and I'm like, oh, wow, like how do I get like that? And so I just started doing a ton of research when I was on bed rest and following Instagram, saving their workouts, like writing down plans for myself, learning everything I could about nutrition and fitness and all of that. And then I was so excited, like when I was finally got the go ahead from my doctor at my 6 week checkup to like go. And I knew nothing about lifting. I had never lifted a day in my life. So, and I had my second daughter, I think I was like 20, 21 or 22. So, I was pretty fresh into lifting, and I just went there. And at the time, I had like a printed out like plan that I had gotten, and I just like walked
Awesome.
around with my papers, and I had to YouTube everything. I had to
Yeah.
look up how to do every exercise. I had to ask people who worked there. I didn't even know how to use the machines, but I just really got into it. And then even just seeing progress and my strength and all that was
Mhm.
just incredible. So that really got me into, pushing myself and getting in the lifting world.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was the same boat as you. Like, I was a runner all through elementary school, high school, got into college, or sorry, got into high school a little bit later on, like grade, I think 11, 12 is when I was like, oh, like the football team looks pretty cool. These guys are jacked. I'm a skinny little lanky
Yeah.
twig. Started lifting, and next thing you know, it just, yeah, like the feeling of just feeling full and putting on size and just,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, feeling the strength. Yeah, it's pretty empowering. And that's the thing too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
as a young kid, you're just doing bench press the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you start to venture into more of like the actual raw bodybuilding and lifting heavy, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's definitely very, very empowering. So did you compete at any shows, or have you just been simply focusing on just working out for yourself?
In the beginning, I thought I wanted to do like a bikini show or something because
Hmm.
that was kind of the popular thing. And I just never really, it was never for me. I don't think I could do the posing and like this being on stage and like the tans and stuff. Like, I just didn't think that body type was like attractive to me. I wanted to be, and I had someone tell me too, this pro competitor, she was like, I told her, I think I'm interested in bikini. She goes, you would not do well because you have very broad, like big shoulders and a wide back. She's like, you would do good in figure though. So you could work towards that. And I was like, no, thanks. So
no, thanks.
I was like, I don't think I want to compete. Everybody always just works out to compete. And I was like, why can't I just work out to be strong and just like feel good? Why do I have to compete? But as I got stronger and stronger, I was like, maybe powerlifting is for me. Like, I'm going to try that out. So I joined a powerlifting competition when I want to say I was like maybe 25 or something, just for fun. I didn't have a coach. I had no idea what I was doing, and I actually did really well, and I just loved it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do another one. So I actually got a coach for that one and was like, I'm going to be serious about powerlifting. And then right before my second powerlifting meet, I tore the labrum in my hip. And I was like, well, that sucks. And then when I had my MRI, they were like, hey, by the way, you have like bilateral hip impingements. So you're just going to keep re-tearing it, like unless you have surgery. I never had the surgery. I just did a year of physical therapy, but I've come to realize that like powerlifting was so fun. I really enjoyed the competitive side because it's like you against you, it's hitting your bests every time, but it's really not worth the strain on my body is what it's not worth.
Right.
So I started having like lower back pain and like knee pain and then, things I wasn't having before because I was pushing my body so hard. And now I'm like, I'm just going to lift for aesthetics and it's like, to maintain my strength. That's all I'm going to do. So that's the point that I'm at.
Absolutely. And also it benefits you towards your job as well, right? And just injury prevention. You may have an injury in your hip, but if you're carrying the structure, there might be a more overweight kind of patient, or there might be just something in your way that you have to put strength in. The last thing you want to do is pull a shoulder, pull your back, your knee, etc. Right? So it's good that you are making fitness a priority, and it's only going to prevent you to prevent those injuries and also give you longevity and go and do those fun things with your daughter and so on and so forth, right? So that's awesome that you at least try different things and you came to realize, okay, what's going to benefit me more in the long run, right? So now you're what made you want to start to coach women specifically in fitness?
I think it was just the fact that I've obviously like put in my time, done my work, like had 2 babies, like I actually have, it'd be weird if, I was coaching women, like moms and stuff, and I never had kids of my own. But I just found that when I had a coach, like I had a male coach for a little bit, and it just was like, I need to have a female coach me. Like they just understand better. And it's not that like, I don't like men train a different way and that's fine. But I was like, I want to find a female with the ideal body type that I want to have. Right. So instead of like a jacked man training me to be like him, I would rather just, and it's not that they can't train you, women and stuff. I just felt more comfortable having a woman as a coach. And when I kind of had my first coaching experience, I was like, wow, it'd be so cool to like help other women feel this way, because I just felt like week after week when I'd send my check-in, I was like, oh, this is great. Like I feel so confident. And I'm like, wow, if only I had a coach in the beginning when I first started this stuff. And then thinking back to those OG fitness influencers that I mentioned that were like my inspiration for wanting to get fit and start my journey, I wouldn't be even starting it if it wasn't for them. So I was like, oh, this could really like inspire women and I could actually like help them, and help them years before what, I could have saved myself a ton of the stuff that I was doing wrong if I would have just seen it in the beginning. So,
right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you find it's a challenge trying to coach and work shifts in your own training?
I think it was a challenge, or it is sometimes, but the nice part about, that's why I would actually prefer those 36-hour shifts. The nice part about every EMS place is you do have some downtime. I don't know, it depends on where you are, but in Montana you do. And so I could just sit there, and online coaching, I'm like, I could get back to emails right now. I had the time, so I was still working, but then I prefer getting 36 hours done and over with, and then I'm home with my family. But it's nice doing the online coaching thing because I don't have to leave my kids to go to a gym and go meet people in person. So that's kind of why I chose that route. But I definitely think that it's not easy, but it definitely is easier.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And it just goes to show you, like, your drive and your ambition to, always want to be a better version of yourself and share that wealth with other people. And it's just so empowering. So that's fantastic. That is really, really cool. What drives you exactly? Where does this all come from? Like, like you said, you have your family, you have your job, your coaching, social media influencer. Like, where does this drive come from?
I think I've always just been super driven. Like, I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters, and I think that competitiveness came from being, one of 6 children. And always I was really athletic, into sports when I was a kid. I was just always so driven. Like, everybody always growing up, they'd be like, wow, she just does so much. Like, she's just so motivated and driven all the time. Like, I'd constantly be taking on new things. Like, I'd try all these new hobbies and different things and get super into it and like really good at it. But honestly, I think it was just like my personality growing up. But then, like I said, it was really after having my own kids that pushed me into, lifting. And now, I got to be strong for my family. Because now I have a family that I got to come home to. Like, I don't want to be out there, little scrawny thing. Like, and now I have people that rely on me. It wasn't just, high school anymore. So I definitely think after I had my kids, it pushed me a lot more. Because I wish I had that to look up to, like, oh, cool, like a fitness mom and like encouraging me into sports and doing those types of things. So definitely after I had kids, I think I got more drive and motivation.
That's beautiful. And that's the thing. You want to be a role model and, you want to talk the talk and walk the walk. And that's the biggest thing too, right? Is lead by example.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Your little ones are just going to be like, yo, my mom is a badass. And, you're going to just inspire them. You're going to inspire your family. You're going to inspire the people on your social media. And like, even I'm inspired. Like, I just watch some of your posts and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, like this girl is killing it. And like, honestly, like that is awesome. And it's people like you that just, like I said, just empower. I love it. It's great energy. All right, there's one question here that I wanted to ask you. I can't remember if I have asked you this or not yet, but with working shifts and having 2 daughters and stuff like that, do you find that it's hard to balance as well? Like, do they understand, oh, mom's gone tonight, like I'm not going to see her for 24 hours? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I think that was probably the hardest part, honestly, of me even getting into this field. So I actually was pregnant with my daughter, or I got pregnant with her in medic school. I had her, I went into labor on my last clinical rotation, like water broke, like everything. Like it was like 4 a.m. and I was like, I just have to wait till 6 a.m. I just have to wait because that's when I'm off. I literally, it was so bad. I just started like gushing and I was like, and so like I wrote a note. I was like going to the hospital. My water broke and I like slid it under their door and like left, like drove myself there. And then obviously,
and you drove yourself.
Yeah. And then obviously 2 weeks later I had, my testing because I was almost done with school. So 2 weeks later I had to go do like my NREMT skills testing and boards and licensure, like all of that. And she was, 2 weeks old at the time. So I just brought her with me.
Wow.
And so definitely was not an easy road for me at all. And then after, that I got pregnant with my second daughter, they're 17 months apart. I was in nursing school. So I was like, let's go to nursing school. And then I, had to do it all over again with my other kid. And I really realized that nursing really wasn't for me. I'm glad that I put a year in, but I didn't like it at all. So I dropped that route and was like, I'm just going to stick to the medic stuff. But definitely, like, I've obviously been through it. It's hard to balance for sure. There are times when my daughters, I don't get to have, Christmas with them or Thanksgiving and that kind of stuff. And it is nice when you have people on your shift who are a little bit older and more seasoned, who are willing to say, hey, if you want, I could trade you that day. Like, I'll work, Christmas, because I know you have young kids. So we always had guys like that, which was really, really nice. Or the young people who didn't have any kids and stuff would trade with us. But there were a lot of times when I didn't have Thanksgiving or Easter, but them being so young, they didn't know that it was that day anyway. So we would just celebrate a different day. Like, they had no idea what day it was. So, and now when they're older, they know that if mom's at work for 2 days, it means she gets like 4 days off or like 5 days off. So definitely that, Yeah, not easy, especially having a relationship too. Like I'm in a long distance relationship and then my boyfriend has a little girl. So trying to handle like relationships, kids, another personal business, and then your shift and trying to work out is not easy at all. But I
No,
know people
definitely
say,
not.
"Oh, you make it look easy." It's not easy. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of kids' tears and things like that. But now that they're older, they're 6 and 8 now, they totally understand. They've been doing this since they were babies. Their dad's a flight medic.
Right.
So we both are, one of us is missing a holiday or something. But
Right, right. And
mhm,
it's good that, you guys are able to help each other out. Okay, so
mhm.
what systems do you have in place that give you the ability to kind of like breathe a little bit easier? Because obviously these systems were something you've had to establish over the years
Mhm.
to come to this point where you're like, okay, I think I kind of have everything under control.
Yeah. I would say that the biggest thing for me was support from family and friends, having a support system at home. If it weren't for my mom or, my sister who babysits for me or can keep the kids overnight, or even for friends to watch my dog for me, when I'm on shift, or having those people that you can call in a moment's notice when you have to pick up a shift, or having somewhere where your kids can go on holidays, or even having someone to go to your kids' school when it's show and tell because they expected you to be there, but you're on shift and now
Right.
at least you're sending someone in their place. I would say that was my biggest thing, was a support system for sure. Because without that, I would not be able to work, do the things that I do at all. Definitely preparation with just having nobody's motivated all the time, especially when you're like, oh my gosh, I have to make food for my shift. I will put the time in the night before to do that stuff to
Okay.
make
Mhm.
sure, because otherwise I'm spending unnecessary money. I'm getting myself further away from my goals. Then I'm just going to be moody and crabby and eating crap that doesn't make me feel good. So
Right.
just lots of preparation, lots of support. Just really, it is trial and error. I do always say and believe that you should learn from the people above you. I never had that back in the day. It wasn't as common for women to be firefighter paramedics, and I didn't look up to any women who had families and kids at all. So I couldn't ask anybody. But I think that's also a really great resource to ask people who already walked the road before you for help.
Yeah, that is great advice, Presley. And yeah, I can't even imagine um preparation, support, like and sometimes some people don't even have those in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
And building those relationships and friendships with people that you could rely on is just so important
Oh
because
yeah,
yeah,
for
what we
sure.
do is just not normal, right? And it's not like you could put your kid in daycare during the night. It's just
Yeah.
not something
Well,
that's out there.
exactly. They don't have that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe some bigger places do in hospitals and stuff. But the other thing too is there's a
Okay.
lot of support out there. At the time, as a single mom, when I was like 22 years old, I'm a full time like paramedic, and I'm a single mom. And my mom works during the day. She could take them at night. They had to go to daycare. They have to go to school. And being on the income that I was, because we all know paramedics do not get paid that great, and being a single mom, there's so many resources out there if you just applied for them, and you would actually maybe have help. But I remember at the time I applied for this scholarship for daycare, because daycare was $1,400 a month for both
Jesus.
of my kids for
Wow.
5 Monday through
Wow.
Friday. And I had a day job, I had a day job during the day too, because I couldn't work on just one salary. So applying for
Mm.
that made my daycare co-pays so cheap and affordable. And it was like, a lot of people don't know that there's actually resources out there like that. So finding the resources as well to help in the time that you need it.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's good advice as well. It's just
Hmm.
like, yeah, do some research online in
Hmm.
your general location where you live. Cause yeah, I didn't even know that. So it's great to
Hmm.
know that, those systems are in place. And, especially for frontline workers, those systems should be in place. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? I find that there needs to be more people that have to be aware of shift workers in general,
for
that,
sure.
if you have a family, you have dogs, kids, it might be an older love or older parent that you have to take care of. Like, why are there not more of these systems
Hmm.
being announced or like in newspapers or in commercials, and letting people like know these things, because that would be extremely helpful. Or when you go and start an occupation where you are working as a shift worker, that, it's like, here's a pamphlet of all the support systems that are in your general area that can help you make sure that you're just a little less stressed when you're at work, right? No, that's great that you're able to find those things and come up with those systems. What is something you wish you could have told yourself when you first started shift work?
I think I wished that I would have taken fitness and nutrition a priority then. Because like I said, I started when I was 16, so I was young. But when I actually graduated from medic school in college, I was 19. So at that point, I, had the degree and all that, but I still had went another, couple years till I started actually lifting and stuff. And I just found that my job was really freaking hard being under, and it's not like I was eating what I'm supposed to, I just wasn't a big eater back then because I ran all the time. I burned so many calories. My metabolism didn't need it. So I didn't eat that much, but I wish I would have known back then about protein intake and about fueling your body and being strong, all those things, because not only just for fitness, but it also prevents illness and injuries. All of that would have made me so much better at my job in the beginning than if I wouldn't have waited so many years after to discover it.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry, just to kind of go back to nutrition stuff, what are some big things that you actually cut out of the picture?
It wasn't necessarily cutting anything out because I never ate bad. I'm more just, I guess when I became more aware of things, I never was a huge soda drinker or anything like that, but I had a lot of artificial sugars that I was consuming all the time, like Gatorade and those types of things. You don't realize how many carbs are in that. And then I constantly had to have coffee, obviously, if you're a shift worker, but I constantly was getting like lattes and, frappuccinos and all those things. And seeing how many carbs and sugar were in those, I switched over to other different things. But definitely just switching the types of food I was eating versus, even if it's something simple, like let's just switch pasta with a whole wheat pasta or something.
Right.
Just really quick and easy. It wasn't more cutting things out. It was more, oh, wow, I'm severely under eating protein for my body. I didn't even know. It was adding more protein and I ate such high fats, but not that many carbs. So really just figuring out what your body needs and then eating more.
Right. Are you big into fasting by any chance? Intermittent fasting?
No, not really. When I'm cutting, like I said, I'm not really an early morning eater. I like to eat at like 10 or something. But if I don't have a lot of calories for the day on like a rest day during my cuts, I'll probably just wait until like 11 or noon to eat just because. But I don't really practice it at all. When I'm bulking, though, I got to start eating earlier. I'm not going to get all those calories in for the day.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Okay. And then caffeine. So you still do you drink coffee on your night shifts as well?
Yeah, I have a caffeine addiction.
Yeah.
I try not to. Night shifts, I will in the evening. There's like past a certain point that I don't drink caffeine because I'm a huge believer now. I wasn't in the beginning. I constantly had to prove that I was like ready to work and I wanted to help and I was going to be that worker. But I got to the point where I'm like, I don't give a shit if you want to talk behind my back. I'm going to go take a nap because it's a safety nap. If I'm going to be up all night, you all can talk about me, but I'm going to go nap. So that was my thing, was I'm going to prioritize my health because I am not driving an ambulance to someone's house at 2 a.m. and risking my life because I didn't take a nap because I thought I was like too cool and wanted to make sure like everyone thought I was a great worker. But
right, absolutely.
Yeah,
so that's so smart.
Yeah, I won't drink caffeine if I'm going to nap or something, but I really don't drink it late at night either, honestly, because then I have to pee a lot more than anything.
Yeah, and that's my struggle too. It's funny.
Awful.
I just had a podcast. Yeah, it's the worst, right? You're trying to just even when I'm like trying to get back into a regular sleep schedule after my night shift, I'm aiming for a good 7 to 8 hours of sleep, but I'm waking up 4 hours in, having to go to the washroom. So I just spoke to a healthy shift. His name's Roger Sutherland, and he gave me a tip to add salt into your water.
Oh yeah.
Near the end of your shift. So I'm going to try it out. I haven't tested it out yet. So I'm hoping that will take away the halfway go take a piss.
Yeah.
And it drives me nuts. You just want to sleep all the way straight through.
I know. I just drink, I just take I do CBD, like the non-THC ones, because obviously we can't have that. But there are a lot of CBDs out there that don't have THC in it. So I do that to sleep, and it actually works really well for me.
Okay, that's really cool. I've tried CBD once, but that was for more like an inflammation decrease.
Yeah.
Like an injury going on. But
it's so good for like everything. I'm like, take it for everything.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right?
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. Can you actually talk more about that? When did you get into using CBD?
I think it was, so I took a year off from EMS and stuff, like right when all the COVID stuff happened. I didn't work for a year. My kids obviously had to be homeschooled. Schools were shut down, all that stuff. So I took a year, more like a year and a half off. And that's when I pursued, online coaching full time. And I built my business during that time, which was super smart. But during that time is when I kind of discovered it. And I actually went and got a medical marijuana card at the time. I'm like, I'm not working. I'm not going to be tested, But I had really bad migraines for a while from a viral meningitis I actually got on the job one year, that I had chronic headaches after that. So I actually tried it for that. And I was like, damn, I was talking to the dispensary person and they're like, yeah, well, I said, weed makes me really, really anxious. And they're like, well, what if you just tried like CBD for, your issues? And I was like, I'll try that. Cause weed makes me too anxious. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll try that. So I got CBD and I asked them, I'm like, this has no THC, right? Because it's going to make me panic and freak out. And I tried it and I slept like a baby. And I was like, damn, this is so good. So I started like looking into it and researching it more. And then I found the Herbstrong company, which is the one I use because all their stuff's lab tested. When I went back to work, I was really keen on, I need to make sure that this isn't going to pop a drug test for me, because that's one of the biggest things that people ask me about taking it. And then I realized they had creams and other stuff too. And I'm like, I could use this for everything. So I have a problem. I just pour CBD oil all over my body. But that's really how I found it. You really have to do your research, and there's tons of companies out there. I'm not saying like one is better than the other, but if you do your research and you actually try it consistently for a while, it's not like a miracle thing where you take it one time and it's, takes a while to build up in your system as well, like anything. But now I swear by it. And I really think that the pharmaceutical company, they're just making so much money, but it's like, why is this stuff still not regulated when it, instead of putting chemicals into your body, use something more natural that God gave us that we can just cultivate from a plant.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. And that's awesome. So that's good advice as well. Because it's not going to give you the same effect as THC. And I've heard a lot of positive stuff about the CBD, and it's something I'd be interested to test with. And the fact that it helps you with sleep, and that's a big thing for a lot of shift workers. Yeah, myself specifically.
That's why I specifically took it. Was like, I need sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's good. Like, just going back to you saying that you're taking those safety naps, like that's so important. Like, if you have a job and you have the opportunity to take that nap, because your safety on the road, and then other people, and then the fact that your body needs to sleep. Take advantage of that. Like, it's just so important. Is there any other tools or like biohacking things that you might use for sleep?
For sleep, not really. I mean, I would take like sleep gummies on shift, and everyone would be like, oh, what if you have to wake up for a call? I don't get groggy. It's natural stuff. It's like melatonin, like your body makes that. So I would really just take my sleep gummies, or, at night on shift, the sleepy time tea, I would always have some of that with some honey and some lemon. So good. Like right before, when everyone was settling down, kind of watching TV and stuff, I'd always have that. And then, I really just made it like my second home. I'm one of those people who doesn't get a good night's sleep if they're not in their own bed. So I really just brought my sheets, brought a fan, made it my own little space, because I cannot sleep in a different environment. And I'm telling you, I have slept in some weird places in the EMS world. Like, I don't think a lot of, people with really nice facilities will understand, but I just found out that I slept in the morgue the other night. I didn't know it was a morgue. Oh, wow. So I'm like, great. And then I slept in a hospital room my last shift. I've slept in the back of an ambulance. It's like, you sleep where you got to sleep. It just comes to that point. But
it's great that you've been able to train yourself to fall asleep anywhere.
Oh yeah. It's so funny though. Like, my boyfriend's like, how do you fall asleep on an airplane? And I'm like, I will the entire flight. I'm out. I'm just out. It's just,
I'm jealous.
I can fall asleep on a
jealous.
train, a car, an airplane. I'm pretty sure I fell asleep with my head in the cracks of the seat one time in an airplane, like bent over. And somebody commented on it when I woke up and they were like, how are you sleeping like that?
Yeah.
Years of practice. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. See, I'm one of those weirdos. Like, I need to be butt naked. I need my fan on in my bed, like with my cover sheets. Like, no, I can't even. Okay, so being a crane operator, a lot of the guys will take naps and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
We get good windows of opportunity to take naps. I think I've been there for 2.5 years, and I think I've fallen asleep maybe twice. I'm just one, paranoid, two, I just can't get.
I'm not a good napper. I'm not.
No, I need to just like if I'm sleeping, I'm sleeping. I'm not here for a little short, quickie. I just want to freaking like get comfortable and pass out, right? So I think it's something I'm still trying to learn, but I also have good systems in place that give me the energy and just feeling alive to work a full 12-hour shift and stay awake. But yeah, I think as I get older, I'm 31 now. I think as I get older, eventually I'm going to get to that point where I'm going to be able to pass out anywhere. My girlfriend, on the other hand, she can pass out like during fireworks.
Really? Yes.
She's just passed out. We'll be watching a movie. I got it on full blast, and I look over and she's.
Oh yeah, I've fallen asleep in a movie theater. I'm like.
It's people like you I can't hang out with.
I know.
Like, it makes me so bad. I'm like talking about a movie I'm so into. I look over at her and she's passed out. I'm like, well, so much for movie night. Thanks, babe.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I don't think there's really any way to help that except for like just good sleep hygiene. Like you got to put yourself to bed the same time every night, but then you have a shift and you're like, oh, I normally be asleep at this time. That's why I pass out, because if I'm not in my normal routine, I'm so tired, I'll just pass out.
Yeah, I hear you. No, that's good that you've been able to establish those routines. Like I'm going on night shift tomorrow night, and it's just like tonight, for example, I'm going to be up just a little bit later, and then hopefully by tomorrow night, I am good to go to stay up. So yeah, we'll see what's going on with that. But so it's a 50-50. It might go really well or it might not. So, all right. So we're heading in towards the final questions here. We've been talking for 51 minutes. Literally has flown by. Okay. So these are a little bit more like a funny kind of question. What is the weirdest thing you've ever seen on a night shift?
On a night shift? Oh my gosh. Probably, wait, like a call?
Yeah, because like whatever you're just out there, it's nighttime, and you're just like, whoa, like would that actually happen during the day?
Okay, probably some chick calling us for her head lice.
No way.
Yeah, EMS workers understand. You're like, okay, it's 3 a.m. You called 911 because you've been having toe pain for 3.5 months, and tonight was the night. Tonight was the night. Like, I swear, me and my partner got a call one time in the middle of the night, and we were actually at the hospital when we got the call. So they have a scanner in there, and the doctors, like, this is a small town. Like, they know the addresses of the frequent flyers. And the doctor was like, nope, she's not coming here for that. He's like, she was just here for it. You tell her to walk her ass down to Walmart and she can buy the lice treatment. I will not treat her if she comes here, and she's not coming via ambulance. Like, no. So we go to the house and we're like, we're going to have to explain to this lady. And the first time I ever seen her, I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, she opened the door of this like crack house, and like her mom was picking her head, like picking her hair. As she opened the door, she collected lice in a baby food jar and handed it to my partner. And he was like, no. The whole thing was filled with head lice that they collected from each other. And her whole head was like scabbed and all this stuff. I'm like, this is just sad that people live this way. She's like, you can come in. I had my hoodie on with like the strings pulled because I have such long hair, and I heard that lice jump. Like, I heard that lice jump. You should have seen me with my gloves like tucked over my sweater, and then my hair was all pulled back on the way to the call with my hoodie, strings pulled, and she's like, come in. I'm like, nope, lice jump. And then we told her, we ended up actually having to call law enforcement because she didn't want to take no for an answer, and she wanted to fight us. And so law enforcement came and slammed the door on her face and was like, go to Walmart, you can get lice treatment. But that you don't just do the need. No, and you don't just do the treatment and then you're cured. You need to clean your house, woman. Like, I don't think you've cleaned since 1964. Like, there was a hoarder house, but
oh, geez.
But
good on you for being prepared.
I'm not a nice person in the middle. Like, if you wake me up for some bullshit at 3 a.m, I will not be nice to you. I do not care.
I don't think anybody would be.
No, but my partners are always like, and my partner that I was with, he's a pastor. And he was like, oh, like, you know, and he's just so nice. And I was like, hell no. I'm like, hold this, because I am going to fight someone. Like,
right. And it's just in his blood, right? You can't, he's always just switched on.
I always work with someone who's so calm and nice and patient. And I'm the complete opposite. And I'm like, hold me back. Like,
well, especially like you said, you have long hair. Why risk it if you already can see what the turnout is going to be if you got any closer? Yeah. Like, you know, like,
I'm sorry, this isn't an emergency. Like, you don't call 911 for this. Like, especially at 3 a.m. when you've had it for 7 months. Like,
yeah. Wow. That is weird. Go to the Walmart. Thank you. All right. The next question is, what is the funniest thing you've done being sleep deprived?
Oh my gosh. Probably a lot of things. Okay, there was this one time though that I was pretty sleep deprived, but I woke up to try to get a workout in, you know, in like the gym that we have. Okay. And I just wasn't feeling it, but we got a call. Like, I just started. We got a call. So you know how you like run and you quickly throw on your other clothes? Well, I took my stuff off, put my like work pants on. I already had the shirt on and stuff. We went to a call, and we went to this call at this person's house, and it was like this old couple, and we were transporting him out, and he's like, "Oh, you have like something hanging from your shoe," and I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, something hanging from," and I looked down, and it was totally like my underwear just hanging out of my pant leg, because I had changed so fast, and I changed my underwear when I work out, obviously, because you sweat. Right. Well, I changed, and it was in the pant leg still from the pants that I had on, so it had just traveled down the pant leg and was on the ground, like trailing me. These like Calvin Klein underwear, and he's like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh," I'm like, "Nothing." And I like picked it up, and I was like, "This is so embarrassing."
Yeah.
I was like, really? God. But I was like so tired.
Yeah. Well, like, what do you do at that point? Like, good thing you weren't like walking around the hospital or something like that too, just having your undies.
I know. I'm like, okay, well, clearly I didn't know that these were in the pants that I had, and it was the patients who saw it. And that kind of shit's happened to me so many times, so it's not even funny. Like the weirdest shit, and I'm like, oh, oopsie. Whoops.
Yeah, the things that we do when we're sleep deprived, right?
I know.
Oh, that's hilarious. Presley, thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation. And like I said, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I would love for you to share your socials and where people can find you and what you're offering. Please go right ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I'm currently shadow banned on Instagram, but
I saw that post.
Like, why? But my Instagram is PresleyKP.fit. So I just post a lot of workouts and stuff, but I have a link like in my bio, and it has my YouTube channel. It has like where you can inquire about coaching, my website, all that stuff. Cause obviously I sell like, you know, barbell pads and bands and all the things that I actually like use when I'm working out. And then I have all the links for those meals. So like the meals that I get, all that. I try to share the links with people. So they're all in my bio. And then, pretty much everything's in there with like my coaching, all of that stuff, website. So awesome. All of the resources.
I'll add all that stuff into the show notes as well in the description. So then that way people can easily find it, and then they could hopefully just, you know, latch onto your Instagram through the show notes as well. And so once again, Presley, thank you for taking time out of your day to join me. And that was a great talk. I really do appreciate it. So I hope you have yourself a great rest of your bumming Sunday.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I know it's my cleaning day.
Hey, no, I hear you. That's like me for, you know, we got a meal prep. I got to clean the house.
Exactly.
Like my training's not even done yet. I have to go do an hour and a half or hour swim now. And
now I have to do cardio.
You're at cardio?
And back.
No, you're not fit. Oh, geez. Yeah. I hear you. Well, that's why, you know, when I messaged you, I was like, hey, can we push this ahead just a little bit? I had a 2-hour run scheduled, and we were out, and I was like, we're not making it back in time.
It was good because I was still in bed. I'm not going to lie. I was like, can you tell me, is this audio or video? Because you should see what I look like right now. I'm sitting in bed drinking coffee, and like, my daughter was like, Mom, do you want more coffee? I'm like, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
She showed up in my room. She came in my room with my dog had an injury recently where he had to have the cone on his head because he was licking his paws. My daughter came in with the cone on her head. And she's like, I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, we're playing dogs. I'm like, okay. Like, what the fuck? Like, what? So, you know, hilarious. It's just mornings around here on a typical Sunday.
Right? And kids just being kids.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They keep you young. They keep you young.
No, they definitely aged
that's
me.
hilarious. Okay, well, Presley, thank you again so much. And I hope you have yourself a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too. All right, thanks.